Now, as a third generation coal miner, I've seen the devastating effects of casualisation, what it's done to my workmates and to my community. It's undermined our health system, it's undermined our rights at work, and most importantly, it's undermined safety. I've seen blokes who are a bit too scared to raise a safety issue because they're going to lose their job. But it's a cancer in the system. We need to stop it, and we need to protect our friends and our communities from this blight in the Australian workforce.
My daughter is a casual worker for WorkPac, driving trucks out at Goonyella, so she can't get permanent work. She has to live at home. She's 20 years old, she has to live at home because she doesn't have the reliability of an income to be able to move out of home. She can be changed shift at any time, she can be moved site at any time, she can lose her job at any time.
As for casualisation of the workforce, it's a point I think everybody should be aware of, because over time the power of the union has been weakened. And when I say power, I mean the power to look after you, boys and girls, in a big way. That is to say, in my opinion at least, without the union, the company would have us working for 10 cents an hour and living in the street, pretty much. But because we now have a fairly strong union, it's important that everybody at least try to join it so that we can look after you and protect you. And that the casualisation that they're trying to achieve is going to erode that away until there's nothing left. So it's very, very important that we stick together and we all make it to the end of the shift alive and look after our workmates. And the only way to do that, so the company stand up and take notice, is to join your union and make it so that the union never ever has to quit out of sight. So without them, we're stuffed pretty much.
So I've got mates at work that have been doing the same job next to me for 7 years. They've got no hope of getting a permanent crank at the moment. They're doing the same rosters day in, day out, week in, week out, year on end, and there's no permanent job in sight for them. It's holding them back as far as loans, houses, just the ability to go on annual leave.
So we know that casualisation out here in our region means less secure work, means less safe work, and when you work in the mining industry, the most important thing is to be able to come home to your family every day. What we've seen with the increase of casualisation has been the increase in accidents in the mining sector like we've never seen before. We've seen people not be able to invest in buying their own homes in regional communities when they should be, and we know that it's affecting how we grow and the future for mining and mining communities in general.
We're seeing increased casualisation, increased use of labour hire, undermining wages and conditions, and we've got a government that said, in Matthias Cormann, the Finance Minister, said that low wages were a key piece of the economic architecture of this government, and we're seeing the impact on that. A retreat from secure work, from permanent work, and increased use of casualisation, including, of course, in the mining sector. We have a very clear principle that we will adopt, which is we'll legislate over same job, same pay. So if you're doing the same work, it can't be undermined by bringing in labour hire, by undermining permanency, and by going outside the award system and the negotiations that have taken place between unions and employers. We know that all the big employers have used that to undermine wages and conditions, including BHP in particular, and we just think that's not right. And I know that in the mining sector, it's a dangerous industry. You actually need unions have fought to keep their workers safe and so that people go home at night to their families, and that's what we want. And that's being undermined by the use of labour hire, by casualisation, by contracting out.
What's a really alarming stat to us is in 1996, 94% of all employees in the coal industry were permanent. In 2017, that was at 45%. And we'd say by 2021, the permanency rate's probably at 40% and declining. So we want a future for you guys, we want a future for our children and our grandkids, and that's what's about where the campaign starts. It might start small, but from little things, big things grow. Job security is key, both for putting obviously ensuring that people have security in the workplace, but more importantly, health and safety.
With a government in Canberra that actually is hell-bent on taking away rights of working people and actually making it harder for people. And so part of the fight that we're in at the moment is how do we win a better country? And when you think about what Stephen was just talking about, those shocking figures about insecure work in the mining industry, what we know is that it's actually touching every industry and every sector around the country. Like, it's a pandemic of insecure work. And what the government's done is actually encourage it to be contagious. Like, their laws and the processes things they've put in place has actually allowed insecure work to spread in every sector and every industry. And it's not like something that is just going to, if you listen to the bosses often, they describe this as how this is good, it gives people flexibility. Well, I don't know, some of you I know are labour hire workers. It seems to me it's pretty one-sided flexibility. And in fact, it was the Mining and Energy Union that won that really important case that called out the sham of labour hire in mining. The idea of permanent casual, it's a contradiction in terms. We all know that the idea of permanent casual when you're working a 7-day on, 7-day off, round-the-clock rosters a year in advance, like so many workers in mining do, that's not casual work. That's permanent work. So the union wins the case, then wins another case when the bosses try and undo it. And what does this government do? They actually put in place a law to wind that back. So the rights that the union fought for and won for decades and then enshrined in law and won it in those cases, they deliberately put in a law that actually takes away the rights of workers that was won in those cases. And the likes of Michele Landry, George Christensen, Matt Canavan, they talk the talk about caring about miners and mining communities, but they don't walk the walk. Because when it came to it, backed up by Pauline Hanson and Malcolm Roberts, they voted to take away the rights, not just of mining workers who'd led the way in winning those new rights, but in fact of every worker around the country. Because now what they've done with the casual laws that they got through is that it's up to the boss to say whether you're a casual or not when you first get the job. So if they say, Smythy, I'm giving you a job, you're a casual, and then 2 years down the track, it's really clear that his job's actually become a permanent job, that he's, working regular hours, all of the things we know that go with permanent work. The fact that the boss said at the beginning you're a casual is now all that matters in the law. And the reality of your working life, which is what the court said should matter, gets taken away. Which is why, of course, we need to fight to change them. And why the union movement is saying that secure jobs are worth fighting for. What stands between the absolute thirst of a multinational company for profit and safety is workers. It's workers who put their bodies on the line and who bear the consequence of that drive and thirst for profit only. What we're good at as unionists is doing it in workplaces. And what we know is that if working people are part of this fight to win secure jobs, then we've got to take that into every workplace in the country to win this. Make this an election issue. Make it stark and real, the difference between the people who care about workers and our families and communities and our lives and the ones that don't. And don't let them get away with talking the talk but not delivering when it comes to the things that matter.